Hey, it's Arash, San Diego-based photographer, host of Burner Podcast, founder of Justified Hype. I wanted to put together a quick little video showing you my first art exhibition. And I'm doing it with my phone, set up on a ring light thing. The phone is kind of ancient, so I have to keep this plugged in so you can hear my sound right. And I figured, worst comes to worst, you're seeing me actually follow my own advice of it doesn't matter about your equipment, just get your story out there. Behind me, you're seeing a couple of the pieces. That's Sarah over there, and that's Ada, was Adam at the time that I shot this portrait. I just wanted to give you guys kind of like a quick little tour of the exhibit space and why it's happening. And so Phoenix Syndrome is actually a name that came about for a new podcast mini-series that I'm starting. And it's kind of exploring the question that I'm asking myself is, am I addicted to being reborn? And it's going to explore the topic of like the hero's journeys and I guess I think we all have it as we crash hard and it feels like we've beaten kind of a boss level and then we get back up and we move on to the next thing. I'm told that's the case, but I've also been told by some people it's not the case, and it's just perhaps a matter of starting this personal development, personal growth journey that this thing that starts to happen. So yeah, I'm going to show you kind of the space a little bit and talk a little bit about my iPad with notes. I'm going to show you what photos are on display here in the main gallery. All of the space was art directed by my dear friend Dylan Eccleston, and our dear friend Amanda assisted him on the development of all this. I can shoot photos. I'm great at flattening stories into an 8x10. I am also excellent at community building and bringing people together and kind of scheming like the bigger vision of things. Spatial reasoning and planning things out and lighting, not my thing. And it actually works out quite beautifully that I have this amazing collaborator and friend and family in Dylan, and we enjoy working together and we have a really great balance. And so this show came about as a result of us wanting to work together and me wanting to expose my photos and him being down to set up this space. The short version of how this show came together was that I fell into a pretty rough depression after coming back from a month in New York. And it's a lot of stuff that went into it, and I'm going to be getting into the details of all of this stuff in the new podcast mini-series that I'm starting soon. I'm not even thinking about it until I'm done with this photography show. But it'll be, the working title is Mr. Arash Presents Phoenix Syndrome. And it might be like a trilogy episode arc. And it's going to get like really deep into everything that, things that have happened in my life and personal philosophies and existential depression and everything that manifested this particular photography show. But the photography show is it originally was intended to be focused on specifically protest photos. And through a series of events and synchronicity and things, it ended up becoming more a general retrospective of the past 10 years of my work and my journeys. And it turns out it's exactly what needed to happen right now. I do intend on having this other themed show in the very near future, but right now what I really needed to do, what I felt called to do, was to kind of celebrate and consolidate the past decade of my creative journey. One of the things is the style of my photography has shifted a few times based on the kind of gigs that I was getting and the kind of stuff that I was doing. And so to even just finding my voice as a visual artist has been a part of this journey. So people who see my photos can kind of I've been given the feedback that there is a general style that they have, but I think that that's something, to me, it's been developing over time. And I feel that now I'm in a more solid place of what my visual voice is and what tools I go to in order to tell stories. And these photos that are all up here in this art show are, to me, a little bit more all over the place because I was still exploring some of these ideas. And so they are now all consolidated in this one place so that I can celebrate the experience that I had and release that journey and move on into this next chapter of my creative adventures. And the way I see my work now, it's a lot more international. It involves a lot more travel. I can pick up a camera anywhere and knock it out and turn it in an amazing project and lots of amazing exposures. A lot of times these days, for example, I even have clients that I work with who I don't do any editing. I literally just shoot and hand over a memory card at the end of the gig. So, and that's something that I couldn't, coming out of art school, couldn't even dream of being able to do. Like, what? No editing? No, I feel that good about it. I know when I'm doing those kind of shoots. I know when I do need to do editing. Depends on, the project. Let me switch angles. So yeah, this is a snapshot of the past 10 years of my creative journey and how I ended up here, and it's bringing it all together so you can kind of walk into my energy and help me celebrate in releasing it. And there's a few, I should use this for lighting. That's good. There were a few intentions, and I kind of feel like there's three top ones that brought, that kind of have been hovering around why this show is happening. Intention number one is celebrating and releasing, which was part of, what I've been explaining, is the idea that I'm ready to let all of these pieces go. I'm ready to move on and create new things. And for my next photography show, for example, I already know that the way that I want to do it is I'm going to shoot images around a certain theme and around a certain project, and you're not going to see any of them on social media until I'm ready to actually present them in this physical space. Celebrating and releasing is a big chunk of that. I have thousands of exposures floating around on all these hard drives, and I even just tossed a lot of them. I lost a bunch of them as I was going through this consolidation process. I did a lot of house cleaning. And it was through that process of house cleaning that somehow, through intuition and synchronicity, these final images floated to the surface as the ones that are going to end up in the photography show. Intention dos was about figuring out how my prints are valued, what images people are really responding to, where the conversation is going, which ones do people want to buy and for how much. That's a part of what this experience is about, is exploring what sorts of offers people are making and what they feel the images are valued as, so that I'm not just pulling a number out of my rear end. And it's that part's 100% been happening as planned. I've had an offer for a piece for $1,000, and I had an offer for another piece for $500, and I had an offer for another piece for $40. And it depends on the piece, it depends on how much energy went into the piece, and I'm seeing that. For example, I'm going to show you some of these images, and we'll get into some of that detail. But the system of how it's going to work is because I don't want to keep printing the same pieces over and over and over and over and again. This releasing process is, if somebody really wants to pay me enough money to never print that piece again and they can just own that image, I'm happy to do that. They can do it. I'll give it to them. I'm ready to let this previous chapter go and go into this next part of my journey, not carrying all of these images with me, not all of them. So that's part of it, is figuring out what the values are. And by the way, the system, the way it works is people make an offer, and whatever they purchase, that print, that image is now worth 10% more. So it's going to be listed on my website at mrarash.com/gallery, and it will be 10% more than what the previous purchase was. And it'll go up 10% every time somebody purchases it, unless somebody wants to make a big enough offer to say, I never want you to sell this piece again. I want it to be mine. So yeah, that's part of this has been, going on this journey has been about exploring sort of where I fall. And I am not a technically versed enough photographer to be able to say with confidence that I'm like a freelance photographer. I do freelance photography. I'm an artist. Photography is one of the tools at my disposal. And I've been able to develop my muscle memory well enough to be able to turn in cool stuff that people want to pay for. And I don't take that for granted. I'm pretty lucky to be able to do that. I have the dopest day job on the planet. And I get to continue to explore other creative ventures as a result. And then the last sort of intention is what I've been sort of referring to in my head as like the off-label intention. Like it wasn't officially part of the plan, but what ended up happening is that it is a soft relaunching of Justified Hype, which is the creative collective that I founded. And Saturday's kickoff event, which was out here in the courtyard with like live hip hop performances and DJs and 300 something people came through, like that was a Justified Hype event. It was the collective coming together, the people in my network working together to throw this big event that included various different creative disciplines, and we all fed each other and brought each other up together, and it was a really, really, really lovely and amazing experience. And I am looking forward to getting Justified Hype out there more. And it definitely, it slowed down quite a bit during lockdown, and I felt like I was putting too much of it on my own back. And it is a collective. I really do want the entire collective to put energy into it so that it feels like it's ours, not just mine. But the event was a perfect opportunity to experience for people what it's like for us to come together and make a thing like this happen and be able to tell the story. And so, yeah, that's the off-label intention. All right, so this first piece that you see behind me, that's Black Spring. It is the original image that kind of kicked off the idea of doing this whole thing. It was shot June 5th of 2020, 5th or 6th? June 6th, I think, 2020. It was a BLM march that came out of the county building and ended at the Pride flag in Hillcrest. And this one is printed on metal, reflective metal, and currently valued at $1,100. I just named this one behind me California. Multiple people called it California Dreaming during the event, so I think that's going to be officially its name. California Dreaming, also on reflective metal. It was I shot it one day as I was coming into Mission Beach area, and I was going to go for a run, and the sky just looked like this, and there it is. This one over here, named Sarah. It is a portrait of Sarah. Sarah was in the middle of chemotherapy for breast cancer during this image, and we shot it to bring awareness to, I think it was an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter campaign, because to help pay for all of the things. And it is definitely the portrait that most consistently people respond to when they see, like it just immediately brings something out of them, even if they have no idea who Sarah is. And by the way, that's what I forgot to mention on the last ones. Each of these images represents kind of a category of my work, if you will. So this one, of course, portraiture. California Dreaming was landscape. Black Spring is documentary. Now I'm going to show you art portrait. This one over here is named Adam, but the M is in parentheses. It is a portrait of Well, at the time, Adam Powers, and Adam was in the sort of in the middle of the transition to becoming Ada, and it was based on a poem that they wrote about their body. So that would be the more artsy portrait. This one I call Carmel Valley. It is a representative of my commercial work, and it is an advertisement for it's actually for an ad to be used for the earrings that she's wearing, named Omid by Nadia Vad. Nadia Vad is my sister-in-law's little sister and one of my favorite collaborators, and this was a shoot that we did actually my sister-in-law's other sister's home in Carmel Valley, who is also my dentist. A lot of family stuff in this particular image. So that's an example of commercial work. And finally, this might be the oldest piece that's here in the gallery. Meaning like the first one I've shot out of all of these that are up, I think. Maybe California Dreaming's earlier, I'm not sure. But Dismantle Me is the name of this image, and it is based on a poem by Karen Kay named Dismantle Me, and it's my friend Jennifer, who is a Reiki and Theta practitioner. And fun fact, another Jennifer, who is also a Reiki practitioner, purchased the first print of this. All right, no more grandma's ring light. Behind me, they're setting up for some sort of a concert in the courtyard. That's where the kickoff event on the 26th actually happened. So if you're gonna just follow me, I'm gonna go inside. So we're just kind of set up here in the Seaboard Village. These are a couple of pieces that I have out here just so people can see. And you walk in and woo, here it is. Painted this wall black, got all these curtains up. Here's some of the pieces that are up. Here's Dylan, our art director. I shot that the day after I met him at Utopia. And that right there, by the way, is his painting that's up. I have some more pieces like laying around here because I like the idea of people picking them up and looking at them. And Just Fight Hype. And then you turn this way and you walk into this gallery space, ring light. And back here was our green room for the event. And now we have the DJ decks set up here. So we're going to have a couple of little tiny events back here with some music and dancing. And those will be listed on the website. And so there it is. That's the exhibit, Phoenix Syndrome, and it will be evolving into a very detailed and kind of audio movie experience almost. Mr. Arash Presents Phoenix Syndrome. That's going to be the podcast that I am working on, which will come to earbuds near you. Hopefully in the next 3 months. Anyway, this is it. This is the exhibit, it's the Phoenix Syndrome. So now we have this documented thing that it existed, and it goes up. This will be up till July 10th of 2021, and after July 10th. I am excited about getting into new adventures and planning whatever the next photo adventure is going to be. Okay, love you all. Ciao.